is what Menendez planned all along. Taking out the G20 leaders will cripple capitalist governments across the world.
Our main villain is a guy by the name of Raul Menendez, and he's a character that you actually learn about in the sort of old Cold War of the story. So as you know, it's sort of a two-part sequel. We have what happens after Black Ops 1 in the 1980s, and then we have what happens sort of in the future in 2025. So what happens in the 80s is you actually realize who this bad guy is, what sort of his motivations were, how he came to power, and how his power has grown over that time period. So now in 2025, he's really sort of created sort of this master sort of network of terrorist cells and everything else to really sort of use to his advantage. And he's using those now against the capitalist government. So the US and all the sort of major sort of supporting governments underneath that to really sort of pick and plot and bring them against each other. So the US and China sort of being plotted against each other in the sort of new Cold War. Typically, you'll have your soldiers, you know, we faced the Russians, we faced the Vietnamese, we faced the Germans. So this time you actually have this sort of terrorist network that's there, but then you also have all these sort of robotics technologies. So you have quad rotors, you have claws, which are those four-legged mechanized things. There's just be a lot more intelligence to the enemies and what they behave, and then all the way the superpower that they harness. So a lot more firepower, erratic types of movement. They're going to be on the ground, they're going to be in the air, they're really going to be everywhere. So that combined with enemies that are on the ground is going to really change the way you sort of engage with these guys. So we're also giving you new and unique weaponry to engage with those guys. So the sniper storm weapon, which you've seen, that allows you to see through walls, new sort of ways to sort of deploy grenades, and a lot of sort of the cool gadgets you get with sort of the moving to the future with Call of Duty. So I think when we set out to bring Call of Duty Black Ops to the future, one of it was really sort of what is our sort of area that we're going to play in. We didn't want to go super sci-fi and lasers and not make it feel real or plausible. I think with Call of Duty, we always want to make it feel like, oh, you know what, that actually could really happen. So a lot of sort of the technology that we have, so for example, that sniper storm weapon, you know, if you go to the airport today and the TSA is going to have you go through some x-ray system, they're going to see what's on you. So make the thought and go, okay, what happens 15 years from now? Could there be a weapon that has a scope on it that is, you know, powered with energy that allows you to actually do the same thing at a wider distance? Perhaps.
Technology got stronger, but we got weaker.
Well, I think Call of Duty's blown up every other major city in the world, so I think our backyard, because Activision and Treyarch are here in Santa Monica, LA sort of just felt natural. I think for us, it's a landscape that we're very familiar with, and really, I thought from a creative storyline standpoint, was a pivotal location, I think, for the world. And sort of creating this sort of G20 summit here really allowed it to sort of play into the story really well. We don't want this to feel like it's a science fiction story. We want this to feel like it's a Call of Duty story. We want it to feel like, you know, this event could happen. I think when you look at a lot of the data and research that's coming out, so, you know, we're internet junkies, we're always looking at stuff, we're sharing stories with one another. The idea that our military could get hacked is plausible. Like, there's, you know, been viruses and all different kinds of things in military networks. There's all this kind of stuff that's happening all over the world with people, you know, hacking and doing different kinds of things. It is plausible that someone could steal the keys to our drones and use them against us. So your enemies actually also have technology to use against you. So you won't always be playing against human soldiers. They'll also bring in different types of artillery, different types of drones against you. So you need to be tactical. If they've got a giant claw going against you and you don't have one at your disposal, how are you going to engage it? You can set waypoints for your guys to flank, and then jump into a quad rotor and go around the other way. So you can literally be strategic on how you set up your different units to engage with other units. So it really sort of takes, like, Call of Duty's never really done this before, but really sort of an RTS sort of spin on the game.
Section, this is Anderson, responding to your Mayday call. Standing by for tasking.
Well, multiplayer is in and of itself its own sort of mode. So, you know, for us, we look at Call of Duty sort of being the complete package. We've got single player, we've got co-op, which is the zombie stuff, and then we've got multiplayer. I think what you can look from what we're doing in single player, definitely the sort of near future weapon technology. You know, I would imagine we're going to be using some sorts of, you know, quad rotors and drones within sort of maybe the MP system on the progression, but we're not really talking about that yet. But definitely huge innovations for multiplayer companies.
Maintaining current speeds are online.
Call of Duty Black Ops 2 coming out November 13th. We've announced PC, Xbox 360, and PS3.
Well, you're gonna fly one now, buddy. The flight computer should handle most of the work. I'll take the ambulance with Anderson. Stay on me and we'll try to regroup with the presidential convoy.